Hey, we're talking about book 3 of the Alpha series. This is Belle of the Brawl. Again, I have to say that this is a book that could have been one big book. Because it doesn't have any like side tangents where it goes. And it's not like the Click series as a whole, where because it went on for so many books, could just meander and like plot circles and stuff and everything not be looped up at the end. Nothing has ever, I think, that bad. Things were resolved in this book as we've essentially reached the peak and we're on the down. We're in our falling action. Obviously something else has to happen to make the 4th book worthy, but it's not gonna be as big as fucking 30 girls getting iced. I actually took a month off of reading. I went on vacation right after I filmed book 2, and then I started school when I got back from vacation, and school and Bachelor was absolutely vice grip on my life, so I didn't have enough time to read. And in between, there was like 14 days between the end of Paradise and the beginning of Michelle's season, and I was like, I gotta read this book, and I almost did. I almost finished it. I had like literally one of the chapters was literally like 5 minutes, but it was a wild one. Changes that have happened. I didn't actually physically own. I didn't actually physically own this book, so I had to get it on Kindle. And at some point I will probably buy the last 2 books so that I can have the full series. But outside of that, things that have changed is that means I have easier access with the context of the quotes of my thoughts. And I didn't do it too much because I didn't want to spend too much time doing it. But we're gonna work through these. It's gonna be a fun time. So I'm pretty sure our girl boss Jackie O's are actually friends now. The girl bosses, because I totally forgot that they actually are called the Jackie O's. Our Jackie O's are all friends, and they're all united against Allie J, AJ, and Triple. So that's really where we find ourselves. Chapter 1. Charlie is still paralyzed with fear about the decision she has to make about whether she's going to get back together with Darwin and totally snipe Allie's chance of getting with him, or, you know, is she choosing the boy of her dreams or the friendship she's always wanted? She's already given Allie the blessing to go ahead and go back after Darwin, but Darwin wants her, so it's like a love triangle. But golly gee Wally, is it small and stupid. She's taking so much time to think of, she's trying to avoid thinking about this so much that she's adding more classes, which, like, they never tell us what classes they are, so it truly never matters, but, you know, whatever. She's like doing yoga or something. It's like, oh my god, yogi. My god! My quote is, Buddha says, the way is not in the sky. The way is in the heart. I don't even know which way's up, Charlie answered. Is that my quote? Why would I quote that? What note do I have attached to it? Megan, you have to be more clear. How is Megan of the future supposed to know? Huh? Huh? Go to my notebook. Oh my god, everything's dropping. That doesn't even note. Alright, cool. That's an easy cut, Megan. You got this. There have to be ones. Yes, okay. There are ones with notes. Whew, okay. Chapter 2. Allie. Girl bosses at sea. Allie heads to the auditorium to listen in on a chance to go on a trip on a cruise around the Alpha Island. They're all gonna be able to party on a boat because pre-recession, that's the coolest shit you could do. And honestly, I'm still looking for a person with a boat. If you have a boat, hit me up. Yes. Boop. Chapter 2 was a text from Shira telling everyone to go to the boat. That was chapter 3. Sorry, whatever. Allie recaps her plot points as far as showing up. Getting broken up with, showing up on the island after committing identity fraud, and then being found out for being a thief of someone's identity. And then being ostracized by the group, as well as being broken up with her. Honestly, she said he was a rebound boy, so I don't know why she was so attached, but whatever. Jay sings a song about Allie being an identity thief, and everyone still hates her, including the newly introduced Olivia, a news reporter type girl boss. And I wrote her name down because they brought her up twice in a row and then never bring her back. There's so many lost girl boss Pokemon that by the end, they're like not even, like the ones from America barely are like, this is fucking Jessica from Kentucky, like whatever. She sees Darwin across the room and he maybe smiles at her, maybe it's smiling at Charlie, we don't know. Chapter 4, Dream. New hope and dream. Get rid of Sid, because if you remember at the end of the last book, she was like, hey, you're kind of lagging behind what I believe you should be able to do. So if you don't get, if you don't start girl bossing harder, I might have to do a girl boss count. If you don't start girl bossing harder, you're off the island. Sky has attached herself emotionally to Taz, even though Taz is whatever a 15-year-old boy womanizer is. I don't know, that feels weird to call a child that. He's a womanizer. He has a lot of girlfriends. Sorry, my face is itching. We're gonna have to have a little chat about how teens are written in teen novels. Because what the fuck? I don't know. I was reading a lot of fantasy. I was reading, by the time I was in middle school, I was reading like middle grade, like slice of life literature, and then fully reading young adult fantasy. So I just think I missed out on the part where all of these books about teenage girls, but I just don't remember, and maybe that saved me from weird body feelings. But like, unfortunately, the identity part was true in reference to talking about AJ. But oh well, that was way more behind her than the butt floss she had proudly called underwear. Why are you talking about thongs? You're 14! You're a child! Put on some boy shorts and be comfortable. I'm telling you, it is the way. Cover your bits. You're gonna get a yeast infection. Yeast! I came across on TikTok someone talking about the clickbooks and how weirdly like body shamey, disordered eating it is. I think the best part about that book being so non-inclusive as far as people of color is the fact that I was never taught to see my body in any way that anyone described an Anglo-Saxon, like Caucasian body. Like little white girls were always going to be like tiny and skinny, and then like being ethnic of literally any kind meant that your bones were different, which now I know is totally different, and that's its own other like bag of bones as far as medical racism. But it at least protected me from whatever this is, because like, what the fuck kind of line is that? All Allie had was a class schedule packed tighter than Ugly Betty and a pair of Spanx. yeah, we get it. America Ferrera was kind of thick. She was not fat. Like, fat-coded characters in media, like, it's gotta get the girls, it's gotta get the kids' brains fucked up. But I'm gonna put that link in the description. So after we are introduced to Muses at Sea, She-Ra sends home 2 more girls for crying, because apparently alphas don't cry. The girls cried because they were attempting to invent something that would curl lashes, and all it did was singe off their lashes. And honestly, if something got that close to setting my face on fire, bitch, you know I'd be crying. And I don't even think tears is that bad. I think crying's a good thing. But they get removed, emotionally abusive style, and She-Ra calls out Sky for being a good example of someone who's balancing boys in school. And then on that recommendation, she allows all of the girls to be able to date all of the Brazil boys. Like, She-Ra, again, it's so gross. Like, you should have had more boys on this island. I know it's Girl Boss Island, but it's super, like, weird to, like, use your children as bargaining chips like that. Sky is literally only good at balancing the boys, and her, like, schooling is because she's, like, taking more classes on to avoid Sydney because he's so emo. He's so soft. Charlie and Allie are tense, and Sky's bummed because she'll be kicked out if she goes after the other brother that she actually likes. And obviously Charlie and Allie are attached to Darwin and are like, oh my god, our husband. Back on Sydney, this is how he's described in book, and yikes. But Sydney's heart was made of fine china that cracked and fissured with every beat. He was walking PMS, and to make matters worse, Sky's heart was insistent on beating loudly for a different Brazil brother, Taz. Sky had tried to force her heart to follow orders, but loving Sid was just something she couldn't do. Girl, you're 15! You don't have to love anyone. I was not allowed to date boys in high school, and you know what that meant? That meant that I was not attached to not nary a single one of the boys that I fancied. I thought they were cute, but I was in the share camp. Boys are dessert. They're not substantive. You cannot rely on these men as calories. They will leave you starved. Ah! God damn. Okay, chapter 5, Allie. Allie is looking to get hurt, and she gets it. She's like, I know that I can go after Darwin now, and it's gonna be great. I don't even want to wait for him to text me back. I keep texting him and he won't text me. And she sees him out in the courtyard, and she's like wearing a robe, and she like steals some flowers to give to him, and she opens her big mouth to talk and word vomits herself, being like, I know that we got off on the wrong foot, but I feel like we can really make this work. And Darwin's like, I don't like you like that. It's not gonna work out. These flowers aren't for you. Obviously, he's here for Charlie. Chapter 6. Charlie was in bed making Darwin's birthday wish because they spend every other of his birthday together, and they normally make a wish together about whatever. I guess they share a wishing star. Her wish ends up being cut off, but it's something along the lines of, I want to stop loving Darwin until after. Did I jinx it by getting it cut off? We'll see. Charlie gets called down by Darwin and is like, he's like, come down, talk to me. And I was worried that she wouldn't stick to her guns and like fold, but she doesn't. She's like, hey, I really like you, but I am really invested in this friendship and I don't want to fuck it up. I love you and all that good stuff, but like, I've never had friends before, and I want to have a friend who wants to be my friend and can see me as being a good friend. Girl boss. He gets real pissed because 14-year-old boys hate hearing the word no when they've lived in a society that never tells them no. So they're just like, okay, cool, we're gonna actually, let's like get Allie interested in someone else so that we don't have to deal with this, so that we can be together. And Charlie thinks of that and he's like, you sound like my mom. Very conniving. She's like, do you want to kiss and shit together? And he's like, I do, very much so. So they decide to get Mel, one of his other brothers, Melbourne. They're all named after Australian things and I hated it this entire book. They're like, we're gonna get you together with Melbourne and it's gonna be fine. We're gonna get together. We have a love triangle with Darwin and Charlie and Allie and Melbourne, and AJ may still be interested in Darwin. Who knows what that girl boss is up to. I'm gonna tell you what my theory was for this plot point. I was like, oh, it totally makes sense to have Allie end up with Sydney because that would help Sky so that Sky's plot points didn't always feel like she's all the way over here. These two chuckle fucks are always fighting over boys and fighting for boys and whatever together, and then Sky is off pirouetting. They don't even have any classes with Sky. It seemed like a missed opportunity to me. That is not what happens. Okay, chapter 6 is highlights, in quotes. I thought Darwin was giving up on her. Simultaneously, turned Charlie's stomach and cleared her head. She'd gotten used to being without Darwin, to concentrating on herself and her projects at the lab. After all, if Allie found out Darwin had chosen Charlie over her, she'd suffer from PTSD. Oh god, forgot about this. Post-Trina stress disorder. And Charlie would lose her best friend. This book would be so much better if we weren't focusing on boys. All I'm saying is they're like learning how to be friends and like learning that like sisterhood is like the greatest gift to innovation, which is really what she is like trying to teach them, but she is fully whatever. So my second plot, Darwin reached out and cupped Charlie's chin, forcing her to meet his gaze. His eyes, normally calmer than the Caribbean Sea, were glassy with emotion. You're telling me that you're choosing Allie's feelings over mine after all that's happened? Yes, chucklefuck, she wants a friend. She wants a friend. Girls need friends. Everyone needs friends. Men, get friends that you can be emotionally vulnerable with. I'm sick and tired of being a therapist, wife, mother, child. I'm not. I'm personally fine. But women in general. No, you sound like my mom. Manipulative, controlling, and scheming. Shut up, you piss pot! So, chapter 7. Sky plot drop. She plot drops. That's a good word. That's what we're using. She plot drops onto the rest of the bunheads, who essentially disappear after like chapter 17. They decide that the best way to get rid of a boy is to just be really fucking gross. Don't they know teenage boys are the grossest things on the planet? And that's not shaded teenage boys. That's, you know, that's prolonged adolescence and prepubescence. They're allowed to just be fucking weird. Be more like a teenage boy. Be gross. Figure that out. When Sydney walks up after ballet class, she goes to the smoothie cart and just starts belching and burping. But Sky doesn't know that 16-year-old boys are either assholes or golden retrievers. They're either going to gaslight, gatekeep, mansplain, manspread, or they are going to be golden retrievers to defend you against the gaslight gatekeeps. And guess what? Sydney is a golden retriever. He's devoted to his paramour of the week. Sid is like super pop punk, an emo Gerard Way type, and it's just not meant for these. These are the see you later boys. These are the skater boys, see you later boys of like 2008. It's like a little bit behind a book series that came out in like 2009, 2010. You could definitely feel that the books were written way earlier than when they were produced. Chapter 8, Allie. I actually really like this chapter. The Sky chapters are so divorced from Allie and Charlie. It's like they needed a way to get into the plot without... They needed a way to get us hooked into the plot that we might not otherwise care about. So they brought in Sky from the DSL daters, but not actually giving her anything to do in the series. Also, dick sucking with daters. I have to reread those books. There's so many of them, and I don't own all of them. But God, it sounds like a treasure trove of cringe day. And she pretends to be sick, and she's really good at it. The doctor comes and she like wills herself to have a fever. She is sickly, she's ghastly. Like Charlie comes to visit her and she's like, ugh. And she's like, you're Allison Stoner. She's really good. Like, it's super good. So Charlie kind of comes in and flubs the truth and is just like, hey, you know what you should do to make Darwin jealous? You should totally go on a date with Melbourne. And she's like, I don't know if I want to. He's like a model. Models don't really go well with actors. Charlie is like, you should become an actor. I don't remember what order some of this shit happened, but she's like, Charlie's like, you're really good. Your skill isn't like singing, dancing, or thinking. It's acting. Like, you're a natural at it, and someone should say it. So she's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be with, I will go on a date with Mel, but I don't think it's actually gonna work out. But just to make Darwin jealous, Allie sees her going on these dates with Mel as acting practice, as someone to act against, her hardest role, her newest role, and yeah. Chapter 9. Sky is prepped for her date with Sid. She's got extra growth. She hasn't taken a shower. She's drawn on pimples and blemishes. This is like trim level crafts happening. She's got trim level craft dandruff. She bites into an onion to make her breath stink. The Jackie O's, minus Triple and AJ, are heading up to a picnic on a mountain with the boys. Charlie is trying to give Allie a pep talk to really be into Belle, and she's just like, I'm here to act. I'm an actor. I'm a thespian. And it's just like, oh, goodness. Chapter 10. Charlie. It's a Charlie chapter, and they're up on the mountain, and everyone's split off with their objectives, and she is left alone on this quote-unquote DIY date. I understand that Lacey Harrison was under the assumption that teens talk in stupid language. But like, kids know the difference between DIYing and cooking, so calling DIYing their own food cooking takes 7 years off my life every time I hear it. So they're going up the mountain. Darwin pulls her to the side and is like, hey girl. And she's just like, don't touch me. We're in the middle of trying to set my friend up with love. And he's just like, I do not give a shit about Allie. I want to be with you now. And it's like, girl, don't date someone who doesn't respect you and your feelings about dating. Okay, so according to Allie, chapter 11, her date went so well, and she's now taking some acting classes, and this is really a fucking rise in her arc as far as a plot, given the whole like stealing someone's identity. But that wasn't like a personal arc. That was like a means to an end. That was the rising action to get us into the academy, and that took up the whole first book. Now we are reaching the rising action of, you know, actually her becoming an alpha, a person of interest. So she gets into the acting class, and turns out everyone likes her. Well, not everyone, but her professor actually likes her there because she's such a chameleon that she committed identity fraud to get there, and that's, you know, peak acting. Oh my goodness. Her confidence has returned. She's making acting choices that all the other girls aren't. She's like, oh my god, shock? Who's seizing? I'm slack-jawed. Like, she is a natural. My quote, page 77. Allie smiled nervously, confused by Corinne's acronym. Is IT an acting term? Her mind groped at the possibilities. Improv trainee? Interpreter of theater? I-thespian? Corinne stood a bit too close to Allie, her chunky arms, which again... God, why do you gotta talk about fat people like that? Big people are people, and you don't. Her chunky arms folded. She seemed to want a response. IT? Allie finally squeaked. Identity thief. Oh. Tears instantly sprang to Allie's deep blue eyes. Her nervous smile vanished. Allie wished she could vanish along with it. But then Corinne's high-pitched laugh filled Allie's ears, sounding like a yapping of two tiny dogs stuffed into a purse. She smacked Allie on the back with her meaty, ring-covered hands, enough to bump Allie a little into triple. That's right, triples in this class. In this class, IT is a compliment. I heard all about the scandal, Corinne paused, taking a wheezing breath, and I'm elated to work with someone with such enormous ambition. What a brilliant way to get into the academy. Corinne gushed, Allie blushed, the redhead circled Allie like a bargain hunter eye in the clearance rack. That's the kind of hunger that can't be taught. Corinne bulldozed her way through the imaginary subway car. Check out the bios of these fame seekers on your iPad later. You'll see they've gone to great lengths to be here. You're no different than they are. You just took a different path. You are home now, my future ingenue. And it's like, oh, she finally found her thing. But now reading that passage, I'm like, why didn't we get to hear about any of these other girls? No, we were too busy focusing on the boys. I would have loved if each book was just focused on a different one of these girl bosses. Just like a different group of 3 girl bosses going through their own girl boss transformation. If you're gonna make me read through 3 books in which at the end of a semester everyone's gone but one, then at least give me a wide range of besties to bestie about. Like, Babysitter's Club that shit. Like, this is literally... The Alphas books and the Click books are literally the antimatter that is the Babysitter's Club. Oh my god, I love that for me. I love that for me. Okay, so chapter 12 is a Sky chapter. Sky is feeling her oats. She's really doing well in dance. She's feeling it. She feels like she could really be making an improvement. And then Sid shows up and she stumbles over her own legs like a baby calf because he shows up and he won't just leave. And it's like, this is the first time that the author has effectively gotten across that he is truly a nuisance and not just like, you know, a boy. The Charlie chapters have kind of insinuated it at points that these boys are rich and they've never dealt with anything real in their lives, and thus the world is their playground and the Alpha Island is their playground. It's much clearer with Taz and Dingo, who like to pull pranks and be like mischievous children, that they do not give a shit about the real world. But it's really clear here where he just kind of walks into dance class and is just like looking around and she's just like, fucking leave. This is like my place of work and you are interrupting it for no reason. Like, what do you need? So, oh my goodness. There's a lot of farting in this chapter to get him to leave. Which makes the other girls giggle, but it's, you know, super unprofessional. Chapter 13. Again, this chapter starts off with me talking about how much I hate that they talk about boys for so long. So I actually really enjoy these books when they aren't focused on boys. Teenagers are so volatile, and seeing them grapple with emotions that should be saved for older high schoolers or college-age teens is so gross. I am aware that the advertising TV adage about kids wanting to watch media about kids that are older than them so that they can grow up to emulate them. But like, it's just so, don't love it. Chapter 13 is particularly gross in that respect. Like, I would never want my child to see this and think that this is how, like, this is how someone who loves you would treat you. Charlie and Darwin are in one of their personal flying machines, and they're going around the jungle, and they're together, but Charlie doesn't want to get too close to him because she's like, hey, I want to wait until everything's solid with Mel and Allie because I want to be a good friend. And he's just like, ugh, how dare you? Don't you know I want you? And she stays really firm and is like, no, I want you too, but I'm waiting for friendship, not marriage. And he's just such a dick about it. And he throws a little baby fit. And he's like, you picked her over me, I'm not picking you. So he lowers the plane down in the middle of the jungle, very close to where their date was going to happen, so there's like snacks and stuff around where she can see what she's giving up for Allie. And then leaves her in the middle of the jungle to wander back home, which I know, like, it's an island and it's only like a 5-mile island or so. But it's the idea that you would purposely do that to someone because, and like, I know they're teens, but that's the problem. Is like, this is something that like college me was dealing with, where you don't do something a man wants you to do and you get abandoned somewhere. I just hate it, and I hate that it kind of frames Charlie as making, it never frames Charlie as making the wrong decision as far as choosing friendship. However, it does kind of lend the ear to a girl being like, well, I'm not gonna do that because I don't want to lose my Darwin. Lose your Darwins. Kill your babies. Kill your Darwins. High school relationships are not worth it. It's just like, ooh, I hate it. I hate it. Ooh, I hate it. My note is, fine, I'll walk home, Charlie said, biting the inside of her cheek. Dropping in the middle of the jungle wasn't Darwin. It was like an imposter had taken over his body. No! He's been like this for flipping 3 books. He's been like that. These boys are shitty. I can't say that all boys are shitty. Not all men. But God, Darwin is crap on a stick. And she's so smart. Why can't she see through it? Oh my God. Chapter 14. Mimi pulls Sky to the side and tells her that if she's not improving or rising to her potential, and it's time for something to happen. A change will be made. She pairs her up with Triple and says, Triple, you're in charge of this girl for the next week. We will, wrap back around to this next Monday, but for the next week, it's all Triple time. It's Triple time all the time. No, you can't go on the Muse Cruise, because the Muse Cruise is at the end of the week. And Sky's like, ugh, and Triple's like, ah, hell yeah, I get to whip this bitch into shape. So, I wrote at the beginning of Alpha 1 that Triple seemed to be POC coded. I had to let that go because I could not let myself get hung up on the idea of them making one of the only few like prominent POC black characters being a villain. But it's always stuck out to me that she had very POC, but they're always talking about her blowout, which I guess if it's a white author who doesn't know about perms, it's just like, when your hair's curly, you got a blowout and then it's straight. So I can see how we got there, but it's also just yikes. So This actually works out really well for Sky because now Sky has an excuse to not have to deal with Sydney when when they leave the room. Triple's like, we're gonna go and do some more exercises. You are not going to the sauna to cool off. You're gonna keep working while you're hot. And Sid rolls up and is like, my wife, I brought you some, hold up, I have a better prop for this. You know, we'll just do some medical hand sanitizer. I brought you some Miralax. I know it's very hard to find name brand shit on this island, but I got a person who could get you some stuff. I hope your stomach feels better. And she's just like, I'm sorry, we can't hang out and I can't do Miralax. I gotta go because Mimi wants me to be better. And you want me to be better, don't you? Ah! Cool. They run off, so it's not all bad. They're so unkind to emotionally caring boys on this book. Sid, who is overcome with emotion after the whole Gas X thing, runs in the opposite direction, and it's just like, what are you doing? You don't know how to write boys. I don't know how to write boys. I can't even be that harsh, but I can also be that harsh, because what the fuck? So, chapter 15 is an Allie chapter. Her writing class has, I believe, Charlie, AJ, and Darwin in it. And then some other alphas that are picked up and dropped at the drop of a hat. So she goes to the writing class and Allie is still being mocked by AJ. Darwin won't give her the time of day, refuses to make eye contact, and Charlie seems weird about all of it. She accidentally writes a haiku, which claps back at AJ. Good at her, because AJ keeps writing everything about her identity being stolen, which is like technically AJ's right because it'd be really weird, and you know how much teens love being original. It'd be really weird to have to just live and coexist with someone who fully pretended to be you for potential monetary gain and also could trash your reputation, but also get a new personality trait, please. Begging. Have to get along to move along. They've never learned this. They're always trying to head first things, and it's just not worth it, and it's quite strenuous. I can't imagine how stressful it is that you're always thinking about a thing that happened to you at one point. Like, that's trauma, babes. Allie has decided to become a wounded animal because Darwin talks about how one time he saw a dog get hit by a car and he was really attached to that dog. The dog had a different owner and that owner swooped in and saved the dog. So she's like, I gotta go and beat that wounded dog for Darwin. Mel is like, hey, you wanna go hang out? And she's like, I gotta go practice. I don't like you that much. Bye. Chapter 15, page 113. That's it. Allie's heart bloomed in her chest like a daffodil shooting out of the ground after a long, cold winter. All Allie needed to do was pretend to be injured as Old Yeller. If she needed rescuing, Darwin would automatically respond. It was in his DNA to take care of people. You're projecting onto this boy! He's an asshole! God. Chapter 16. Triple and Sky. They're training on the surfing lake, and Sky is like, cool, I'm like getting it. She's really not, but she's like getting it. And then Triple's like, I delivered you a boon because I heard some shit. And one of the Brazil boats, because again, they've just got these children running this boat. You could totally do this with adults. I promise you it won't be weird. Running the boat around, and you see Sydney crying with some other girl. They're both fans of poetry, and they're boohoo crying, and she's excited about that. But then she sees that Taz is hanging out with 3 different blonde girls, and she's like, oh, my feelings. And Triple's like, we cannot get hooked up on this. I just want you to see the fact that Sydney was no longer an issue for you. Whatever. She's sad about it. Moving on. Well, not moving on, moving on. Yeah, that, again, talking about these teenage girls' bodies. Chapter Tripple's tawny, slender arms twitched in time with the music, while the other remained firmly planted on her perfectly proportioned hip. She's 14. She's literally at the oldest 15. I cannot stand it. Cannot stand it. Cannot stand it. The ideation of the teenage body. These are babies. These are children. They have not yet lived not 1/5 of the life that they will live. I think that's just about as much as they've lived at 15. So it's just so, your body is going to change, and to idealize it and to be like, this thin body that this 15-year-old model has is exactly what you should be striving for. It's harmful for children, and it's weird that an adult woman wrote this. I don't love this. Oh my goodness. Cool. 16? Yeah, 17. Alright, Charlie is tasked with making something that makes life better. She's in her inventing class, and she's tasked with doing that. She's like, what do I need? What's gonna make happiness? People need happiness. A smile. So we get an invention that forces your mouth up into a smile and then spritzes the air with like this mandarin orange scent, because it has been known that it's easier to stop frowning once you smile, which I know is like not how the thing is, but it's actually like if you're smiling, it just makes it easier to smile. If you fake a smile for long enough, it makes it easier to actually like produce serotonin. And then the scent of oranges actually also like helps boost serotonin production. Those are actual stats. And she's like, cool, I'm gonna do that. She creates the mask that does that. It becomes important for literally 1 chapter later. I'd like to focus on the fact that she texts her mother and she's like, Mom, I like need some advice, like, but it's kind of vague about it because teens are vague when talking to their parents. And her mom is essentially just like, well, girl boss, you can only depend on yourself. You can't depend on anyone else. You got to, you absolutely cannot ask for help. It's all about you. And I'm like, this is super terrible individualistic Americana advice that I can understand how we got here, but I still hate that we're here. The fake smile thing is silly enough that it makes her make real smiles. She, you know, is working on it, brainstorming it, and all of this makes her realize how much she really wants to make things work with Allie, and that she's really quite invested in her scheme to get her with someone else because she loves her friend. I think she thinks she knows better than everyone, but she does love her friend. Chapter 18. It's an Allie chapter. We are putting dead dog plan into effect. Allie gets onto the track. She's like, I swear to God, if I fuck up my chin, if I fuck up the moneymaker, I can't. She goes, she sees Darwin's on the track. She's like, cool, I got this, I got this, I got this. She takes a couple of runs and then she trips, beefs it. She scrapes the shit out of her leg, but she does not notice it because guess who shows up as she comes back from bonking herself, knocking her skull from the front to the back? It's Mel. Mel is just like, hey, are you good? And she's just like, ah, am I good? Not sure. She was supposed to fake her injury and she fucked herself up. Method acting. We stan. Mel comes, picks her up, is like, oh my god, your leg is really fucked up. So is your chin a little bit. Let me do that. Let me get that blood off your chin. And she's like, I'm gonna go to the infirmary. You're real neat. You're super neat. Let's go to the Muse cruise together so that we, you know, in case you need help. I don't hate Mel, but Mel hasn't really been around long enough to get the characterization that makes me want to hate him, or enough characterization that makes me want to be like, why are you so mean to Sydney? Allie's personality traits is that she's super into malls, and turns out so is Mel. And I don't even know what he said. What this is? I'm looking at it and it's so stupid. Oh, that's right. part of the reason that Allie couldn't date Mel is because Mel's a model, and models and actors are always in conflict. You know, who's gonna steal the limelight? So I don't even know what brought it up, but she was like, oh, I know you're a model. And he was like, no, I'm not actually. I'm thinking about switching into business and, you know, owning the largest mall in America, which is such a dated statement. Baby, you gotta move to online commerce. But he's like, I want roller coasters, moving sidewalks, laser light shows. And he's just like, it's great to meet someone who's as passionate about consumerism as I am. And it was just like blaring like clip tune, just like Jeffrey Bezos. And it's like, oh no. Oh, this book is so pre 2008 crash. It hurts. Like, no one could have known that this was the death knell of the mall. No one's, especially now, in a whole ass panoramic. I'm not going to a fucking roller coaster in a mall, breathing indoor air. And I love roller coasters. Fuck out of here. No. So chapter 19. It's a Sky chapter. They get thrown through the routine. She nails it. She's been dancing around in areas with like animal shit, cream pies, just anything gross, just like that you don't want to step in, as she works her way through this routine. Pop, lock, and drop it, jazz, bad romance. Because of course it's 2009, and Triple's like, you got this, you're cool, you're good, it's great. And Sky's like, alright, so if we're like done and all we have to do is rest, why don't we go on the Muse cruise? And I was like, we're not allowed to go. Triple's like, we're not allowed to go on the Muse cruise. And she's like, do I look like I give a fuck? And she's like, you should. Well, Sky convinces Triple to go on the Muse cruise. It's, you know, it's a really big frenemies bonding moment. It's cute. It almost feels like Triple could be part of the group at some point. Chapter 20, Allie. At first, Allie isn't gonna go on the Muse cruise. She's gonna pretend to be sick like she did for her mental health day, and then she is handed a boon. I feel like this chapter needs a trigger warning. They just straight up drugged this girl, like, and it's just like looked at like it's NBD, and like I don't have a fully idealized concept of this, but I recently learned that Benadryl is actually like super addictive, and like you can accidentally OD on it, and it's like, oh god, Jesus. Essentially, Allie comes home and is ready to pretend to be sick. She's already called Mel over to like help her and whatever, and then there is a bump under the bed, and it's AJ, and she's having really bad PMS. She's having cramps and all that, and fucking Allie is like, well, I'm about to ruin this girl's whole career. She mixes Benadryl in with Midol, hands this girl a fistful of it, and says, it's Midol, it'll get rid of your cramps. Knocks that girl the fuck out. Allie steals one of her dresses and the hat that she wears and a pair of big sunglasses. You see where this is going. I did not see where, I had a feeling that it wasn't gonna go the way it was going. But right before AJ succumbs to her unconsciousness, she's like, hey, I was just beginning to start to like you. I'm sorry I wrote all these shitty songs about you, but if I've learned anything from the clique, there is no time like revenge than when your enemy is literally laying belly up, ready for you to stab them. Chapter 20's highlight is, you're the best, AJ said. Sorry about all those songs I wrote about you. It's all, you know, just part of my creative journey. I had to hate you so I could write the songs. AJ's black hair fanned over her white pillowcase, smiling up at Allie. She looked like a gothic princess suffering from tuberculosis. Allie was ruthless, talented, and willing to do whatever it took to climb her way up the social ladder. Including drug a child. What the fuck, Lacey? Are there no consequences for drugging a child? I guess you gotta get caught first. Allie calls up Mel and is like, I'm feeling miraculously better. Let's meet up at the party. And she heads to the dock. Chapter 21, Charlie. Dawn, Darwin, Charlie, Allie are all together. Charlie brings the happy machine to the party to help heal the hearts of these broken-hearted alphas that are all fucked up over the Brazil boys. Charlie spots Mel with Allie and she's like, oh, good for them being together. Allie essentially is like, hey, I didn't have a chance with Darwin, but I'm really happy with Mel. I'm glad, whatever it takes, whatever happens between you two. Cute. Charlie steals Darwin, leaves the happy machine that she was running with the rest of the girls, teaching them how to use it, and then she runs off to Darwin and is like, hey, our plan worked. Can you love me now? Please? And you know how I feel about women begging. I hate it. Don't beg for these men. Do not. Honestly, men don't beg for these women either. But like, God, I truly hate it when these, especially when they've done nothing wrong and they're begging. No. So they apologize and now they're back together. They are truly devoted to one another. Blech. She took a deep breath, grabbing a mop handle for moral support to keep her from falling into Darwin as the ship set sail. I'm sorry, Dee, for letting your mom dictate our relationship and for letting my friendship with Allie get in the way. And I don't blame you for hating me enough to drop me off in the jungle alone. She paused, her coffee brown eyes searching his hazel ones. Fucking gross! I truly hate the men in this story. No one deserves right but Sydney. And Melbourne, but he's a consumerist pig, so he'll be going down in the class riot. Sorry. You're getting eated. Chapter 22. So Sky's at the party. She's hiding. Sky and Triple. They're having a bop of a time. She's ready to flirt with Taz because Sydney's attached to someone else. She sees him across the room at the limbo party and he looks like he's coming towards her and then he has like this moment of shame and sadness and he turns around and leaves. She's hurt. She's like, whatever, I'm gonna make sure someone gets this nut. So she pairs Triple up with Dingo, I think. And Triple is fully out of her element flirting and she's like fully out of control. And I almost called her Diamond. And Sky's like, I'm gonna help you, girl. And they're almost having a moment, wingmanning and talking and chatting. And then dun dun dun, guess who appears? Mimi. Mimi's on the Muse cruise. They're like, shit, what do we do? Sky, who has lots of experience evading parental control and advisories, like, we gotta swim back to shore, boo-boo. And Triple's like, no, we have to hide on the dance floor. And it's like, that is a terrible idea because you are a stunning dancer and of course Mimi's gonna be on the dance floor, she's gonna see you. But she's like, I know I'm right. And Sky's like, I know I'm right. And we're, you know, of course we're gonna see who's right as Sky takes off her sweater. She's just wearing leotard because I was like, is this girl topless? But she takes off her sweater, she's wearing leotard underneath, leotard leggings because it's 2000, what? 8 through 10. And I'm a Bee by the Black Eyed Peas are playing in the background and it hurt me. I hated that. Oh my god, who was wearing that? I think that was Dingo. He was wearing a black tuxedo jacket over jeans and an untucked white v-necks. Jay Sean looking ass man. Oh my god. Men's fashion is an abomination. Yes, Megan, you're correct. Sky jumps into the ocean. It's like not an ocean liner, it's around the fake lake, but she has to swim to shore. It's very weird. Goodness. Also, just one last dig at Sydney. Dingo shot a look inside the glass-walled cabin of the boat. Sure enough, Sydney and Serafina were wrapped around one another more tightly than bandages on wounds. And speaking of wounds, they were both crying. Again. god, they truly hate emotionally vulnerable people. Goodness. Is that it? Yeah, it is. Alright. Chapter 23. It was time, it's Allie chapter, and it's time for her plan. She excuses herself from Mel, and she's just like, alright, it's time to do this shit. She goes into the bathroom, she changes into her Allie drag, she draws the mole back on, she covers her blonde hair with the hat, she wears the sunglasses. She tosses her bag into a room off the side of the boat and heads up to the stage. She's got her guitar, and she's got her A-pod. Excuse me. Just so happens that Talia, their muse, is the one DJing, so she's like, ah yeah, just cue my music. She cues the music, and then is lip syncing. And at first, Allie in actress mode is hitting all the words perfectly because that's what she learned to do. And then she begins to falter, she coughs, and the music continues. At first, no one notices, but then she does it again. And now everyone knows she's lip syncing, Ashley Simpson style. George W. Bush, baby, they throw a sandal at her. She is ducking shoes. The crowd hates her. Boo, you stink! Which is like super rude for someone who just like is not singing live. I know that I come from a different land of pop star, but like Britney Spears wasn't singing live, baby. She's a dancer, not a vocalist. You're coming here for the show, but you know what, you're correct. Ashley Simpson doing her stupid little jiggle is exactly what we were seeing here. So, success! And to make sure she seals the deal, she runs off back to the bathroom, she wipes the mole off, takes the hat off, rips the dress off like it's on fire. She, you know, stores the hat wherever, I guess, and picks up her bag. And she runs into Mel, Darwin, and Charlie. And Charlie and Allie share a moment where they're just like, oh my god, you're dating Darwin again? She's like, yes. And she's like, were you up on stage? And it's like, yes. But they do it all telepathically, and they're just like, oh my god, we just girlboss gatekeeped Gaslit AJ. Yay for us, woo! They're so giddy, and Darwin and Mel are just like, oh, we don't know what the fuck is going on. Good for them, they shouldn't know. This plotline wrapped up. Chapter 24. Sky, oh, do I have a quote for that? No. Okay, so all the girls are back. It's a Sky chapter. They're all discussing the events of the night. Triple is, you know, she's always been aloof from the rest of the girls, but she's like knows in a book, in the instructions, and it's just like very, ooh, it's very tense for her. But she's like, whatever. Like Sky's like, I want to, you know, giggle, tee-hee, chemise with you, but she's not interested in it. The girls kind of hint at what happened with AJ, which is kind of a bad idea. Why would you do that if she's in the room? You don't know if she's sleeping, and she could totally retaliate against you. Like, it's gonna make you look way worse being the person who pretended to be someone who actually hurt their reputation. But I digress. She-Ra walks in and is just like, alright bitches, one of y'all is fucked. And she pulls Sky and Triple to the side, and Sky's like, hey, it wasn't Triple's idea to go on the Muse cruise. It was my idea, send me home. Actually, no, because Sky's deal with this whole pairing up was to learn how to be a better dancer and to be more focused on her dance. And Triple was to be a better friend. And Triple, when caught by Mimi on the dance floor, because duh, she then immediately ratted Sky out. And She-Ra does not like weakness. She-Ra doesn't like fear. So she sends Triple home. Goodbye. Bye-bye. And She-Ra leaves and is like, hey, I'm proud of you. That was some real ingenuity it took to jump off the boat. I gotta go send 47 other girls home. 47. It is like insane. Like, I fully lost count. I'm trusting the book to tell me how many girls are left. That is insane. We don't even get told. We don't even get like little backstories about these girls. She relieves with the threat that, well, I must be off. I have 47 more girls to kick out tonight. She sighs, flipping the white collar of on her trench coat. I warned them not to let boys get in the way of their studies and their friendships. She shrugs. I guess if the moral of this book is don't let boys get in the way of your friendships. Sky didn't fail at that, and Charlie didn't fail at that, and neither did Allie. They all stayed friends pretty consistently throughout this book, even though Charlie fully lied to her best friend. But whatever. It's just, oh my god, so weird. Goodness. Last part of chapter 24 is, in the wake of Triple's departure, how many girls are still here? Charlie pulled out her laptop and somberly began typing names into her spreadsheet. Only 30. But all that matters is we're still here. Alright, so, at the end of that chapter was just really harsh because, like, I don't know, Triple's part of the gang. One of Sky's hopes and dreams came true. Honestly, I think that's like 3 or 4 hopes and dreams that have come true because she got rid of Sydney, as far as I know. And Triple's gone. And that other girl who was the actress is also gone. But yeah. So with 50 girls gone, the school seems a little more empty. Oh, this is chapter 25. It's Charlie chapter. AJ is writing a song about being a misunderstood artist and, you know, being a cast. Allie, Sky, and Charlie revel in their newfound stability when Shira appears and is like, alright, I'm off the island. There's going to be I'm hoping that a leader is, you know, is found between the remaining one of you. The remaining of y'all, the remaining 33 of y'all left. So figure that out. And then the girls realize there are no teachers, there are no muses. It's just them. Full on Girls Gone Lord of the Flies. As they lose their minds, like partying, hacking sound systems, shoplifting from the boutiques. I'm like, do y'all really think she was gonna leave with no cameras going? I don't know, I feel like I had different expectations for them than this. But Charlie, Sky is like, when in Rome, dance, I guess. So Allie and Charlie are kind of like, we're not buck wild like that. So Charlie is like, I need to figure out how to be top alpha of alphas. I'm gonna go and figure out how to invent something like that and ditches. And Allie's just kind of there. It's so wild. Like, that's where the book ended. It was a really, like, I know we're entering the 4th book, but it was really, like, it was very weird for me. So, that book's over. We're on to the next book, and it's so weird. We're almost done with this. Crazy. Okay, so the book 3 had some major things happen. Charlie is officially together with Darwin. Allie is over both her ex and Darwin and is with Mel. Sky is still pining over Taz. Triple is gone. AJ is being bullied like Allie was. And Sid is too busy being a soft boy and being with a different girl. And it's just like, what was gained? That, like, I feel like the first 2 and the last 2 books could be 2 books, and we would not have to be spending this time here. I know it's a book meant for middle grades, but middle graders are not illiterate. 3's done. I'll be back whenever with book 4, hopefully sooner than later. You might not even notice a difference if I get these videos edited in a reasonable amount of time. You can subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel, Play to Blush here. I don't know why my voice went out. And you can follow my makeup channel somewhere on here. And you can check out book 1, book 2, my Bachelor playlist. I will have had 3 different seasons of Bachelor on here by the time this gets up, which is super cool. Yeah. Bye guys. Da, 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 da.